will start with the units, the interface, the drawing tools, modifying tools, everything that you did not catch up with in the session itself or in the classes. So I'm just going to emphasize on some of them so everything is clear. Then we're going to work on layers, blocks, plan, elevation, section, text, and dimension. And at the end, we're going to work on the plotting or printing. So first of all, we said to start or to open a new file, you're going to click on New. After I click on New, it's going to open a new AutoCAD file. Now, the first thing to do is to close the grid if you're not going to use it. Since our work will be all in dimension, we don't need the grid. So you can press F7 to close the grid. Then I'm going to open dynamic input or dynamic mode. So when you open dynamic mode, which is this one, you can see everything that you're doing in the screen. So it's going to show you the dimensions, the angles, and everything. So if I close it, as you can see, I will just see the line. So now if I type anything, it will be written down here, but I cannot see it on the screen. Same thing goes for command. If I type L, it will show here. It will not show wherever I'm working in my workspace. So if you want to see it, you're going to open dynamic input. Then you're going to either open ortho mode or polar tracking. You cannot open both at the same time. So ortho mode will only allow you to draw in 4 angles. So if I start line, for example, I can click for the first point, and then if I have ortho mode on, I can only draw in 90 degrees, 180, and 270. I cannot draw in any other angle. Now, if you want to draw in any other angles, you can select or you can open polar tracking, which is F10. There is this small arrow here where you can click on it and choose the angles that you prefer. This depends on the plan that you have. Now, if your plan has 30-degree angles, 10, 15, whatever, you can select these options. If you don't have any specific angles, all are straight lines or perpendicular lines, you can go with 45 degrees, as you can use 45 degree for mirroring when you want to mirror something horizontal to a vertical position. Okay. Then you're going to open the object snap tracking and object snap. First of all, object snap, it will show you these points. So you need to make sure that all of them are on for you to be able to use them. If midpoint is off, I will not see midpoint whenever I'm working. So you need to make sure that all of them are turned on. After that, you will open object snap tracking. Now let's say I have this rectangle, and then I have this circle, and I want to start a line, and I want to start this line from this point and from the center of the circle. I want the intersection between these two. Now these green lines, I got them because I have object snap tracking on. If this is off, if it's turned off, I will not be able to see the lines. So you need to make sure that this is on, and then when I start a line, so L enter, I can just move my mouse to the end point, and then I can come here to the center point. Just move your mouse to the point and move it away. You don't need to click. Then you're going to get these 2 lines or guidelines where you can start your line, for example, to here. Again, the same thing, I can go to the end point here and then go back. So these guidelines, the green lines, I'm going to get them only if I have object snap tracking on. Now, any of these options, if any of them is not available, you can click on customization, and from here you can open whatever you want to see down here. So you have dynamic input, you have grid, you have snap, polar tracking, and object snap tracking, and so on. There are many other things that we can use. but these are the most basic ones that are beneficial for you. Okay, please, if you have anything, just write it in the chat or raise your hand and I'm going to answer you later. Okay, so let's go back to the interface. So I have this AutoCAD software. We have these panels here at the top. I have the draw panel, modify, annotation, and so on. This is your workspace. This is your command line where you can see all the steps for each thing that you're going to do. And then you have these tools that we just explained. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to type UN enter for units. And then I'm going to change the unit to whatever unit I'm using. So I'm going to change this one to millimeters, for example. So this depends on whatever you have. So I've changed it to millimeters, click on OK. Now I can start working. Another thing that you need to do is you need to save your file whenever you start. So let me just go back in here, for example, and let's say this is the revision file. Okay. So now because I closed, or because I saved my AutoCAD, there is a possibility that I can get a recovery file in case there are any crashes. So far, do you have any questions? How can I use the line again when I close it without having to choose it every time? What do you mean without having to be without to press? Okay, so any command that you open. So let's say L enter, it will open the line command and I can draw the line. Okay, if I press on escape or enter, it will close this command. Now, if you want the same command, if you want to open the same command again, you just press on enter. So it will open the last command, which is line. So if I, for example, I'm using, let's say, circle, and I did the circle. Now this command is closed. If I want to open it again without typing C, I can just press on enter. It will open circle again. Does this answer your question, right? Okay, perfect. So this is basically the software or the introduction that we're going to do, or the first steps that we're going to do. Now, the next step is, or the next thing that I'm going to explain is, when you click to select an object, don't click and drag. I can still see some people using this. So you can use it if it's easier for you. But if this is taking time and you want something fast, you can just click anywhere and move your mouse. Okay, don't keep pressing. Don't press on your mouse. Just click, move your mouse, and then click again. Now, if your selection is from right to left, everything inside your selection or everything that touches the selection you've created will be selected, even if it's not totally inside the selection square or selection rectangle that you have. But if you select from this side, from left to right, so click and then move this way, it will only select the object that is totally inside your selection area. So now, as you can see, it will not select anything. If I include this line, for example, it's totally inside the selection area. Now it's going to select it. Okay, so some students are still confused regarding this point. Make sure that you understand them before you start drawing. Now, let's cover some of the drawing tools and modifying tools. For the drawing tools, we said that these are the basic shapes that we have. Can everyone hear me? If you can hear me, just please type yes. Okay, so the sound is working. Okay. Okay, so the drawing tools that we have are line, polyline, circle, arc, rectangle, and then we have under rectangle polygon, we have ellipse, we have hatch, gradients and boundaries, and we have other tools in here. So we've talked about the basic types of lines. The first one is enter for line, and you can draw multiple lines in this command, but then each line will be separate from the other one. If you type PL, it will activate polyline. So you can start the polyline and you can draw it and it will be all one line. Now, if you want to convert a polyline into separate lines, you will use the explode command. Okay, so now each line is separated from the other. If you want to join them again, if you want to convert these lines into one polyline, you can type join or J enter. If you know the letters, the shortcut, it will make your life easier. You will be faster when you're drawing. So J enter will join all these lines. Okay. Then we have three other types of lines. We have SPL, which is SP line or curved line. So it's basically the same idea, but it will give you a curve. We have ray, and we use this for section and elevation. So ray is a line with no ending. I have the start point, but I have no end point. Also, we have XL, which is construction line. So click anywhere and then you can choose your direction. So this line or construction line, there will be no start or no end for this line. So whenever you feel like you need something like this, you can use construction. Some of you are just using the lines or the commands as I explained. If I did not use them for something else, they will not use it. This is wrong. You need to understand each command and decide which one is easier for you. Like for example, today in the class, I explained how to use the fillet to create the curve. And some of you might use circle, some of you might use arc, maybe you will use ellipse. All of these ways are correct. But you need to understand the command itself and then decide which one you want to use. Don't just stick to one type or one way of drawing. You need to understand everything and then decide which one is easier and faster for you to draw. Okay, so these are the lines that we have, the types of lines that we have. And then we have circle. Again, for circle, we have all these types. We've used center and radius, and there are many others. So always for each command. So for example, if I type C, enter, it will give me the specifications or the steps to create the command itself or how to use it. So it's asking me, do you want to specify the center point for the circle or do you want to choose another type of drawing? So I will specify the center point, let's say here. Now, do you want to specify the radius or do you want to add a diameter? So this is up to you. If you have the radius, you will just type the number, let's say 5. If you have the diameter, C enter for circle, click, and then D enter for diameter. So you can see the blue letter that we have here, D enter, and then you can type the diameter that you have. So let's say 20, enter, and it will give you a circle with a diameter of 20. Okay, we have arc with all the types of arcs that we've used. And then we have rectangle and polygon. So for rectangle, again, first of all, you need to specify the first corner. Then you can click on dimensions. After you click on dimensions, you can type, for example, 10, enter, and then 20, enter, and then click. And now you have your rectangle. Let's say you have, for example, a wall. I will just draw a quick wall. So let's say this is the line. It will be 2 meters, so 2000, enter. Double click on the scroll, the middle point or the middle click. So double click on it. It will zoom out your drawing. Let me just delete those. Then, oh, let me just draw the wall, but I will draw it in 45 degrees. So I have this 2000 and then offset 200, and this is my wall. Now for this wall, I have a door in the middle. So I will take a line and then I will go here perpendicular. Make sure always to have the perpendicular mark. And then offset 500 to each side. Trim and remove the rest. Now this is what we used to do. If I have a block for the door, I will just bring it and rotate it. But if I'm drawing the rectangle from zero, what can you do? REC, enter for rectangle. Click here to start the rectangle. And then I will select R for rotation. Okay, so I don't have to explain each one of these. You can just read them and select the option that you have or the option that you want. So R for rotation, and then I will select my rotation. So I want it to be this way. Okay, then I'm going to use dimension and I will type, for example, 1000 and then 50, enter. And then you can place it. So depending on the dimensions, again, dimensions, 50, enter, 1000, enter, and then you can click wherever you want. Okay, so now I have this door. You don't have to draw the rectangle and then change the rotate or keep the rotation straight and then rotate it and use 2 steps. You can do all of this in 1 step or in one command using the rectangle. Again, first of all, REC, enter for rectangle, and then click the point that you want, and then you will click on R for rotation, and then you can select the angle. Do you want it to be this way, 0? Do you want it to be 45? So you'll just type 45 and enter. Then you're going to select dimension and now add your dimensions. So again, 50, 1000, and then select where you want your rectangle to. And that's it. Okay, so some of the things that you need to create, you want to create, you will find other options down here to make your life easy. Okay, so we have ellipse as well. So this is an ellipse, center, and then, start point, end point, and then you can specify the other distance. So the center, first radius, second radius. I don't use it a lot, but how do I remember the steps? Because I can read them down here. So center point, end point, and then the other distance or distance to other axis, which is the second radius. Okay, same thing goes for polygon. So polygon, number of sides. Do I want 3 sides, for example? And then specify the center, inscribed or circumscribed, and then let's say I want it to be 500. So I have a rectangle. All the lines are the same, the exact dimension, and the radius is 500. So sometimes if you want to draw a triangle, you don't need to create a line and then draw it and then fill it or any other command. You can just use polygon. It's much easier. For example, for the section line, you can do that. I did not use that. I used another way. But does this mean that if you use this way, it's wrong? No. It's much faster for you to use. So always know all the tools that you have and which one will make it easier for you to finish the drawing that you have. Okay. Now for other tools, we're going to use these tools now. So let's say I have the circle. I have, for example, another circle here and another circle in here. And then I have few rectangles. So I have this rectangle. Now, how can I draw a rectangle again and make sure that it's not not angled like this one? I will just go to click anywhere and then rotation, and I'll make it 0 again. and that's it. So I have these drawings. Okay. So the first one is move. You know how to use move by now. Enter for move. Select your object and move it anywhere. The same thing goes for copy. CO enter for copy. Select your object and move it wherever you want. We have stretch. This is something that we did not use in class. I explained it in the first or second lecture, but we did not use it on a plan or anything else. So what does stretch do? This will help you a lot in fixing some mistakes on your drawing. So I can click on stretch or S, enter, and then select the object by drawing a rectangle like this. So this is the selection. I want to stretch from this point. Okay, so this is the points that I want to stretch. Enter, select the point and move it. And type whatever you want. So let's say 100. So this is something that you can use whenever you are drawing. For example, I have here this exercise. Okay, the one that we did earlier. And I decided that I want to add, for example, for this room, I want to add 1 meter. So I will use stretch, as enter, select this part because I want to stretch from here, enter, and then click anywhere, move it here and type 1000. So your room is now bigger without having to repeat all these steps that we did. Same thing goes for the section line. Maybe this is too far away. I just want to bring it a little bit back. S, enter for stretch. Select this, enter, and move it back. So it will be easier for you to draw. So this is stretch. We have scale. We've talked about scale before. For example, let's say I have this circle in here. I will start from the center, and the radius is 500. I want to make this circle 250. What I'm going to do is I will use scale or SC, enter, select the circle, enter, specify the base point, which is in this case, I want it to be smaller towards the center. And then I will type how much or what is the scale that I want to. So I want to make it half the size from 500 to 250. I will type 0.5. Okay. I want it to be double. So SC, enter, select the circle, click on the base point, and then 2, enter. So it's doubled in size. If I have a specific size, for example, I want the radius of the circle. I don't want it to stop here. I want it to be here. So SC, enter for scale. Select the circle, enter. Select the base point. Then you have the option for copy and reference. Copy means if you scale it, it will leave the original one and it will create a copy. For reference, it will specify or you can specify a specific distance. So if I click on reference here, I can click on the base point to the end of the circle, and then I want the end to move to this point. So now I have exactly, the radius is exactly this line. Okay. We've used offset before. Now to make it faster for you, whenever you're using offset, you don't have to, for example, if you have multiple offsets, O enter will open offset. Let's say 200, enter. This is the first distance. Select your line and then click outside. Now let's say I want to offset 700. I don't have to escape, and then O enter, and then 700 and enter, and then select the line. No, you can just click on the line. Before you click outside, you can type, for example, 2000. So you will see that it will create the offset. I can just move my mouse inside and then type, for example, 300. So it will give you an offset. You don't need to repeat the whole command again. Okay, so this is for offset. We have mirror. Of course, you used mirror before. So I can select mirror, for example, for this rectangle. So this is the object. Enter, and then specify your mirror line. Where do you want the line to be? So let's say I will start from here up here. So I don't have any space in between. If you want to erase the source object, you can select yes or no. So maybe I will remove it. Again, mirror, enter. Select the object, enter. Specify the distance or the axis line. Where do you want it to be? If I select this point, it will mirror on itself. Okay, so you need to make sure you're selecting the correct axis line or mirror line. If I want to mirror this horizontal rectangle, I want to make it vertical. MI, enter for mirror. Specify your base point, and then for the mirror line, I'm going to mirror it in 45-degree angle. This is going to make any horizontal object vertical or any vertical object horizontal. Okay. Now we have trim and we have extend. So this is trim and extend. These are the opposite of each other. Trim, we've used it before to trim any line that we have, any extra line that we have. Now let's say I want to trim this line from this point, from here to here. I don't have to, or let's say, for example, sorry, this option will not work in here. Let's try it. If I want to trim the line from here, to this point, I will just select this rectangle and then I will select the circle. I don't want to click 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. I want to click one time only. If you don't select anything, you just click on trim and then click on this line, you will have to click all these times. But if you select the rectangle, select the circle, and then TR, enter for trim, you can click on the line once. It will ignore all the objects that you did not select. Okay. Another option is TR, enter, and then from here you can change the mode to any other mode that you want. So you have crossing, you have cutting edges, modes, and so on. But the easier way is to just select the object that you want and then TR, enter for trim. Okay. For extend, it will extend the line to anything that is in front of this line. Okay. So EX, enter to extend, and you can extend this one to whatever you have. Again, if for example I have this line here and I don't want to click multiple times, I can just select the rectangle, select the line, and then EX, enter for extend, and then it will extend automatically to this line. Okay, so it's exactly the opposite of trim. Now we have fillet. So we have fillet, we have chamfer, and we have blend curves. We did not go through blend curves. Anyways, just ignore it for now. You can try it on your own. We have fillet, which will connect two lines with a curve. And then we have chamfer, which will connect two lines with a beveled edge. So depending on what you want, you can choose any of these. Now for fillet, you need to specify the radius. For chamfer, you need to specify the distance for each line. Usually we use fillet or chamfer without any radius or without any distance to connect two lines. So let's say I have these lines in here, or I have this line and this line, or I have maybe this line and this line, and so on. So any option you have. If you want to connect the lines with a radius, with a curve, and delete the extra parts, or you have two lines without any connections, without any intersection, and you want to connect them, or you have one extra line on the side. All are the same way. So F enter for fillet, R enter for radius, and then maybe 300 and enter. Click on the line, click on the other line. It will give you this radius. Again, F enter for fillet, R enter for radius, let's say 500. Click on the first line, on the second line. Again, it's the same thing. F enter, R enter for radius, and then select these two. So it will work the same way with all of them. Okay? CHA is chamfer. So CHA enter, D enter for distance, and then specify your distance. Let's say 600 for the first one, 600 for the second one. Select first line, second line, and it will give you this effect. Again, CHA enter with the same distances. I will not change them. So select the first one and the second one, and it will give you this option. Again, CHA enter, select first one and second. Okay, usually what we do, or most cases, we don't need the radius or the chamfer. What we need is a 0-degree angle or 0 distance. So in this case, we use fillet without changing the radius. Because I changed it before, I need to take it back to 0. So F enter, R enter for radius, and then 0. So I don't have any angles. Now I can select the first line and the second one. Okay, F enter, radius is 0. Select first line and second line. F enter, again, the same thing for this one. The same thing goes for chamfer. So CHA enter, D enter for distance, and make sure the distance is 0 and 0. 0 and 0. And you can use it for the same exact thing. CHA, enter, and then select these two lines. So if you use fillet or chamfer with 0 radius for fillet or 0 distance for chamfer, it's the exact same tool. Why do we use fillet? Why don't we use chamfer? Because it's faster to type F rather than typing CHA. Okay, this is the only reason we're using fillet instead of chamfer. Okay. Okay. So the last modifying tool we have, or I'm going to explain other than array, is the break or break at a point. So if you select break at a point, you can select your object and then click wherever you want. So for example, the midpoint here, and click. It will separate your lines into 2 separate lines. Okay, 2 separate lines at the point that you selected. If you select break at a point, you will select the object and it will start breaking. And then you can click the other. So this is break. It will give you 2 objects, but with distance in between. Break at a point, it will give you the break at the point that you selected only, without any distance. So, for example, if I want to trim this part, I can use trim or I can use break. I will select the object from here and then I will select this part. But as you can see, the snapping, it will not work here at the beginning. So you just need to make sure that everything is accurate later on. But if I use break at a point, okay, break at point, select the object, then click wherever you want the break. So now I have a break in here. If I want another one, just press on enter. It will open the same command again. Select your object and then click here. So now I have this separate. And I can change the layer, I can change the properties, whatever you want to do. So this is basically what we're going to use from the modifying tools. Do you have any question regarding anything that we've used?